television was doing just what movie executives did.
The 50s. These were the years when two American companies, working together, made a major contribution to diesel engine technology. The development of the first successful production turbocharger for high-speed diesel engines. It all began in the early 50s in Peoria, Illinois, when Caterpillar engineers, working in the facility known as Building W, contacted a company on the West Coast known for its expertise with high-speed rotating machinery. Now, 1 million turbos later, engineers from both companies reflect on those formative times, which were the foundation of a unique and successful relationship.
The way the turbocharger thing started between Garrett and Caterpillar was the fact that Art Rosen, who was then the director of research for Caterpillar, knew the vice president of engineering of Garrett, a man named Walt Ramser. Caterpillar had for many, many years done a great deal of internal research on boosting the output of diesel engines to very high levels. People like Carl Maxwell were much involved in that.
And about that time, air research got into the picture. And I'm not sure exactly how or why or when, but they just came in at the right time with the promise of the right product.
Garrett, of course, knew how to build high-speed rotating machinery, but they had absolutely no experience with mounting that equipment on something like a track-type tractor, which goes from the equator to the North Pole, and all kinds of terrain and rough terrain and various things that they had never had to deal with in terms of high-speed rotating machinery.
Turbocharging was not a new idea. Turbochargers already boosted performance in aircraft, as well as on large marine and locomotive diesels. What didn't exist were turbochargers of the size, efficiency, and lightweight which Caterpillar required.
They were into gas turbines, and they were in the business and understood what they were doing and knew the finer points of it, and they did come up with a very practical design.
When the time came, it was my job to take the first of our turbochargers back to CAT to be tested on an engine in their research labs. The turbocharger was packed up in a big wooden crate that looked like a coffin. The whole thing weighed almost 250 pounds, and of course I took it as personal luggage because we didn't want to get it lost. My orders were that it was okay if I didn't get there, but the turbocharger had to get there.
His plane was delayed or something, I don't remember the details, but he got in very late anyway to the hotel.
The next morning I got up, of course I was tired. Turbocharger was missing. No one in the hotel knew where the turbocharger was.
When he got there in the morning, I understand that he couldn't find his turbocharger. A little disturbed.
And I frantically ran around there for a couple of hours. Then I had the job of calling up Carl Maxwell, introducing myself over the phone and telling him I'd lost the turbocharger. Well, that worked out okay because Carl said, well, don't worry about that, Mr. Kazir. We're just bolting the turbocharger on the engine. I sent some fellows over, and they picked it up.
The real early units, of course, Air Research designed them, built them, and shipped them to us. And then, of course, we started doing the test work in the laboratory and in the field.
Testing the early turbochargers continued for over 2 years at both Caterpillar and Garrett facilities.
Of course, with this success in the testing part of the effort, we had to face the need to get the business in production. We, as an aircraft company, worked out our price and took it into Caterpillar purchasing. Cliff Garrett, our chairman, took it in himself. Our price for a turbocharger, the first one we offered, was $3,600. And Omer Payne, who was the man in the purchasing department, escorted Cliff Garrett out of the purchasing office and left him standing in the street with his $3,600 price. From that, Cliff Garrett made a very important decision to both our companies. Cliff decided that in order to be a real supplier to Caterpillar, we had to have a dedicated Garrett organization. That was the founding of Air Research Industrial Division, founded to be a supplier to Caterpillar. We came back with a price of $1,175.
I said, 1080 is too much for that thing. And I said, we're going to get it down. Go to it, he says. But he says, I got it down from 3,000 to 1080. So Oscar was a mean purchasing guy who was all Caterpillar.
From the original model TO2, Garrett turbochargers evolved into the T14, a more compact unit with a floating bearing system developed by Elmer Burnson of Caterpillar.
After enough tries, we finally got this floating bushing combination that seemed to work real good. And so at the time the T14 went in production, we had that bearing arrangement built into it. And at that time you could run the bearings like 7,000 hours and just a stamped on part number would still show.
In the T14, we used a floating bearing, which is one piece. Well, it was much smaller too. It weighed about, I guess, about half what the T15 had. So the machining processing was a lot less, and the materials we were using were less expensive.
From the very beginning, Garrett and Caterpillar have worked together for the common goal of developing the best product at the lowest cost.
We buy a lot of horsepower in terms of a turbocharger, which we add to our engine, so it's worth putting some money into. The quality of the turbocharger, of course, has got to be very good.
We were working on all fronts with Caterpillar. Caterpillar was very much involved in our operations, both in the plant and in the engineering side. We had Oscar Harding of Cat Purchasing in our plant probably 3 months of the year, kicking us in the back end, teaching us how to buy things cheaper, teaching us how to schedule better, everything. He was both our best friend and worst enemy, and we owe him an enormous debt of gratitude, and giving us a tremendous incentive to improve our manufacturing while maintaining our quality to Cat standards, and above all, getting our costs down.
Over the years, both companies grew in size, and as Caterpillar expanded into every corner of the world, Garrett manufacturing and field service facilities followed. So what does the future hold for the new generation of Caterpillar and Garrett? According to Caterpillar's Ed Dreesen, tomorrow's diesel engines will be smaller, higher powered, and with better fuel economy. Continuing in the spirit of determination characterized by those early pioneers, the second generation of Caterpillar and Garrett people face new and even greater challenges in the years to come. New technologies to address the demand for higher performance and better durability. A closer partnership to address the complexity of reducing total life cycle cost while continually improving the quality of the product. As Caterpillar continues to change the shape of the world, Garrett will be there alongside, helping provide the power to get the job done.
How was the relationship between Air Research and Caterpillar? It was damn good.
I think we became real pioneers in turbocharging of commercial diesel engines. And I hope that this teamwork will continue.
But as long as I ever worked with Air Research, I think the relationship was very good. I had a number of very good friends there.
And we're still good friends, and we have real good, warm feelings towards one another, and I think we'll continue as long as we live.
I personally, starting from the beginning, explained to people that in the turbocharger business, Air Research Industrial Division was really a creation of the Caterpillar Company, and we were the clay that they molded.